All right, guys, let's talk about my favorite motorcycle of all time. And I think I mentioned it in my last video, so let's go out and take a look. That's kind of it. That's it. All right, so these are both KTM 1090 Adventure Rs. So if we take a look at this one right here, we have got, I'll have to get you up a little closer because I made some changes to this one. One of them I'm holding in my hand right here, and that is this canister, which has got to be taken out from underneath the seat. It actually takes up where your toolkit would go, right in here. And let me show you that really quick. So we lift up the seat. And that goes right in here. That is the charcoal canister, and you can tell it takes up a ton of space there. And all the tubes and everything that come out with that, we take that out. There's no performance gains with this. It just gives you space to put your toolkit where your toolkit needs to go, and that's right there. Now there's space. And then that brings all the associated hoses and clears those out as well. There's some other mods you can make in that category, and I'll show you those here in a second on the other bike. Let's see. And let's walk over here. So this bike, actually, I bought two of these. Why is it my favorite bike? All right, so you see here, if you look at these block-off plates, that is for the Rottweiler Canister Removal Kit. Let's see if I can get you down there a little closer. Hold on. Here we go. That little block-off plate right there. Jeez, I could actually control this. There's one there, and that is, when you see those, that means they put on the Sas Removal Kit and Canister Removal Kit, and there's really no performance gains in that at all. There's none. But what it does is that provides air from the fresh air to come in and heat up the exhaust quicker. So as soon as you start the bike, it actually lets fresh air in, heats up the exhaust so that the catalytic converter heats up faster, and that creates less emissions. There's really not much. I mean, maybe a few ounces of a weight savings to do that. If you've taken the catalytic converter off, then there's no reason for that system to be on there. Then you would remove that. This one has the catalytic converter on it, so it actually makes sense to leave it on. That way that catalytic converter heats up faster. But anyways, the next thing you can do is you can remove the airbox, and Rottweiler makes a whole airbox kit for it. And they give you, if you do the stage 3, then they give you new velocity stacks. The velocity stacks on the stock bike are about that tall, and the Rottweiler ones are about almost half that. And the reason they're half that is because they can't fit them in the new airbox that they have. So you lose a little bit of the velocity stacks. So higher RPMs, you could actually lose a little bit of power. They say you gain power throughout the whole rev range. Probably because you're getting a little bit more airflow with the air filter. You can also just replace the air filter, and that's what I've done on my bike. More free flow air filter. Let me put this back, and I'll just set it over here. What are some of the other changes to make? Let's see here. So let's look at this bike first and some of the changes that are here. The seat concept seat. This is a more comfortable seat. It's a little bit taller. You sit a little bit farther back, and it's flatter back here. It's a tiny bit wider right here. If we look at the stock seat, and the stock seat here, I'll put back here, it's not quite as flat, and it's a tiny bit narrower. We could say it's about equal, but you sit a tiny bit farther forward on this bike. You don't maybe have as much room to move around with this seat on here. It looks longer, but you just have more passenger space. Overall, this one, you feel like you sit lower. Actually, you don't have to move your legs out as far, so you can touch the ground easier than with the seat concept seat. These are I'm going to move on from the seat to the handguards. These are the plastic handguards that come with it. They're pretty sturdy. They flex enough that they could bend your levers. And these are the stock mirrors. They're super nice mirrors. You can see really well out of these, but they are very hard mounted, so if you hit something you can actually break the little perch. So on my bike I've done a couple of things. I put these Tusk handguards on. They have an aluminum bar that's going to be a lot stiffer. Those aren't going to bend in. Mounted here and then up here to the fore part of the bar. And then I put on the double take mirrors, and these double take mirrors pretty much equal to those in the way they view. And these little ram mounts, it's amazing how well those hold those in place. They really don't move even at speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. Just surprising. What else have we got here? So the stock headlight and headlight assembly is just fine. If you end up following people too close, these are very expensive to replace, so they make some guards like this one, make a new mount, and then a plastic shield in front of it so you break this rather than the other piece. Most obvious thing I've done here is this high fender kit, and some people like it, some people don't. I love it, but it's also useful. So the high fender kit provides, if you fill this tire space up with mud, it's not going to get caught in the fender as it would in the other one. Just has a different look to it, and it provides fork guards here. Rocky Mountain ATV makes a kit for this so that you get a new mount for up top and a new mount down here to mount them. This is the stock one here, and you can see down here how much space you have for mud to build up. If you're not doing a lot of mud riding, this one just looks fine. It will do just fine. I just like the looks of this one. I prefer that, but that's personal preference. Skid plates. So this skid plate is alt-rider skid plate, and it is quite durable. It mounts up front here to this frame guard, and then it mounts in the back where the foot pegs mount, right here, and then across into the engine. So this one does vibrate a little bit more on the foot pegs than, say, this one, which is made by TourTech, and the TourTech one mounts up front, which is the same thing to these. Let me move this up so you can kind of see. Moves up here, it mounts here, and then again to the front. Then it has some mounts down inside here. Not sure if you can see those, and those actually are rubber mounted to the engine there and here, and then again at the foot pegs, but it does not mount solidly to the engine, and so you don't get as much vibration. Just a different design. The drawback to these is which is part of the design, I guess, and drawback. These little plates right here are removable. They're plastic, and they can end up vibrating. And if you break one, they're about 20 bucks. 20 bucks to replace each. Let's see here. Foot pegs, that's the next thing. So stock foot pegs here. And on this one, we've got the upgraded foot pegs, and let's see if I can get a better view of that. So it's a lot longer out. These were actually on that bike as well as the seat, but what I found is that I end up resting my foot out here, and if you watch, rest my foot out here, and I kept missing my shifts with my foot. It is a lot more comfortable to have your foot out here while you're cruising down the highway, but I end up just kind of putting my foot out there all the time, and then I'd always miss the shift, or more importantly on this side, that brake pedal, my foot would be out too far and I would miss the brake. And so I went back. A lot of people love these. I went back to the stock ones. I'll take the little rubber inserts out, and I may go to a different style that's just a little bit wider. Let's see, let's go on to tires. Tried 2 sets of tires. So this is the first set I tried right here. These are the Mitas. These are the EOS 7s. They're the newest, latest, greatest version of the EOS 7. And if you look in the tread here, between the treads, these have about 1,000 miles on them, so we're almost down to that middle bar. Originally, this middle bar came all the way up along the treads, and once you wear down to that, it becomes a little bit unstable on wet roads, wet pavement, and just in the center line, because you get the center line, that's going to get you a lot more miles out of the tire, but you kind of sacrifice some stability. One other interesting thing about these tires is that the treads don't come down very far on the sides, and so even though you see some nubs here, most of this was just highway riding that I did in this, and I found that I'm still running all the way to the side of the tire. When you look at the other tire that I'm trying now, and this is the Moto Z Tractionator, I think it's the Adventure, is it Adventure? Yeah, Adventure tire, and it's built more like a standard, what are they called? I can't remember right at the moment, but it's a single type of rubber used for this. The treads do go a lot farther down the side. I'd say from here to here, that's about a ½ an inch farther down the side. Same kind of riding. I'm not even getting close to the edge because I haven't really taken these on windy roads or anything. But these wear out pretty quick. As you might notice, they're very, very soft, and there's no tread going down the center. So you get better traction, a little bit more predictable, and I'm not sure which ones I prefer. I prefer these over that, but we're just still trying them different tires. We've got a luggage rack for the back. I'm not even sure what brand this one is. It may be KTM's, I have no idea. Lots and lots of really strong mounting points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on either side. We've got the Ktm Rack on the back of this one for like another luggage rack, or you can put a gas, fuel can back here. When I did my trip to Death Valley, I actually put Rotopacks on here, and I didn't need it, but I ended up saving money in Death Valley, so I didn't have to pay for fuel there. I just filled up with my Rotopacks, and I could go out on that one tank. Let's see, we've got the heated grips. You can see by this little thing here, kind of a bad design, because if you look over at this one, we've got, these are the KTM heated grips, and you can see how this one's separating, and then the little wire will break, and then this grip doesn't work anymore. Both of these have the TourTech GPS mount. Now, I'm actually not a fan of that mount. What it does is, these are little screws that go into a plastic housing, 3 of them, and what they do is give you new spacers, and this metal bracket sits behind your instrument cluster, and these screws that go into the plastic housing with rubber bushings mount this in place. And it looks pretty secure, but it does move back and forth, and I think over time that could, if you have a heavy GPS, that could wear out. I mounted my GPS, you can see here, just to the bar right here, and then I'm using my TourTech GPS mount for my phone. It's a lot lighter, and I use a quad lock, and that quad lock, I just mount my phone right there. So for street navigation, I want it up here. For off-road navigation, I use this TrailTech, and I can stop and take a look at that, so it doesn't have to be up in my face all the time. Where else are we with this bike? Okay, so I think that's kind of about it. Both of these have the TKC 80s in the front. This one has been run at 35 to 38 PSI over the last, 1,500 miles. This one has been run at 25 PSI for the last 1,800 miles. And you can see the difference. That's about 2,000 miles here, sorry. But you can see that there's a little bit of funny wear with the tire. Just, these tires like to be at a higher pressure on the road. I run them down to about 20 to 18 off-road, and then up pretty high on the road. What else we got here? We got the fog lights. I'm not a fan of how these mount. They mount up into the plastic fitting up here, and I'm afraid if these get hit, it's just going to break those right off. But that's where they are today. I may take those off. The exhaust. So this one's got the Akrapovic exhaust on it. Really sounds good. We go over to this one. This one has a stock exhaust, but it has been modified. The end piece has been modified so that it's not restricted. And so this one sounds, when you start up, it sounds a little gruntier than that one. But this one, once you start revving it up, it's very quiet. That one, when you rev it up, it gets a lot louder. I think that one has a better sound, but that's still pretty good. So that's it. We're gonna get out on a ride, and I'll explain why why these are my favorite bikes. Why is that my favorite bike, other than the bike that's not my favorite bike, which we will go over next. So that's from favorite to least favorite. We got to do that. So that's my most favorite bike. And where did this all start? This all started talking about, hey, because people ask, what is your most favorite bike that you've ever had or ever ridden? And my answer was always, it's the 1190R, which is KTM's 1190 Adventure R. The 1090 Adventure R, same bike, a little less power, just because it's the same engine, same frame, same everything. They made a couple of changes. They reduced the stroke in the motor, and that just creates a little bit less power. And they changed out the suspension, so it has true PDS suspension on it, so that it doesn't bottom out as easily. Suspension feels pretty much the same until you start working it more. Once you work it more, it's way better on this bike. So overall, I never really used the max power of the 1190 anyway, so the 1090 is my bike, and I can find more of them. I got two. All right, let's get to a ride. Tuning in on this one, we have the ride review coming up next, so stay tuned. Maybe hit that subscribe button and that little bell icon. That will let you know when the next one comes out. It'll be next Friday, 7 a.m.